Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome to another plugin knowledge session. In this video, we're going to have a look at UAD's Pultec Pro Legacy. So firstly, if you are new to my channel and to my videos and you like what you see, click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all future videos as they come out. So the Pultec Pro Legacy from UAD, this is a plugin that I've used for a long time. As it states, it's the legacy version. But the reason for looking at this instead of, say, the new modern ones is that it's all contained in one plugin as opposed to separate modules. It emulates the famous hardware Pultec EQ itself, used by many engineers in many studios across the world, sought after for creating the famous Pultec low-end trick, which I do cover in a video somewhere here on my channel. And this plugin emulates that. Now, being the legacy version, it doesn't emulate it as great detail as their newer versions, the UAD versions, but it uses a lot less DSP, can be placed on a lot more tracks, and as I said, it's not broken up into individual modules, so it is contained in one plugin, which is a lot easier to control and use all in one. Now, this video itself is from my archive vault sort of word, whatever you want to call it. It's an older video that hadn't quite made it to YouTube yet, was on my website, and I'm trying to catch up and get all of these on to YouTube, especially because they're plugins that I actually like, so I feel they're valuable to share with you. Now, because it is an older video, the quality is a bit different to what I do today, but hopefully it's still good, and hopefully I'm not too boring in it. So this is a really nice sounding EQ. The Pultec one has some really nice top end, great low end, as you know, that's why they do the low end trick on it. And you know, it's very minimalistic, but really based on the hardware. So it adds that analog emulation, maybe analog warmth, if we dare say those words. So let's just check it out. I'll run through it. It's very simple, and let me know what you think. So having a quick look at it, it is basically an EQ, and it works like pretty much any other EQ with some slight differences here and there and the way controls are done. So people use this for the character that this produces and not necessarily the finer detail of what the EQ does, but how it operates and what sort of sound you get out of it. So it's broken up into two sections, as I sort of stated here. You have an MEQ-5 section here, which is more around your mid-range type frequencies, and you have the EQP-1A, which is covering sort of the low end and the top end section of the frequency range. So because this is based on the original hardware, they're using some values here that might look a little bit strange. So if we refer down to here, you'll see this CPS. So that actually stands for cycles per second, which basically translates to the new naming standard of hertz. So when we see 30 cycles per second, we're also referring to it being 30 hertz. And KCS is kilocycles per second. So again, that translates to hertz as well. So 8 kilocycles per second is actually 8 kilohertz. So when we start with this section here, they're broken up into various sections. So you need to imagine lines here. So if we imagine a line running down this section here, so in this section here, we have our frequency settings. So we've got 200, 300, 500, 700, and 1000 hertz. We then have our amount of boost. So this is how much gain we are actually adding to the selected frequency in this section here. So that's broken up here. And then we have these two controls are together. And this one is actually a dip. So what it is we've got, again, all of these frequencies. So we can go 2, 300, 700, all the way up to 7K. And when we actually do this boost, it's not actually a boost this time. This is a mid-range cut. So as it says, dip. So when we put a setting here, we are actually going to cut that frequency range there. And then we have the next two dials that are together. Again, this is a peak. So now we're talking about the topper end of the scale, 1.5, 2, 3, 4, and 5K. And we've got another boost. And then we've just got a simple on-off switch here, which turns the plugin on or off. So you can turn these two devices on independently. So we can turn the bottom one on or the opposite way around, whatever we want. Now with the bottom one here, we also have a main power switch. So if we had both of these on, we can turn the entire power off to the box or bring it back in. Now with this one here, the division is a little bit less clear. So now we are talking about low frequencies here. So we imagine a triangle in this one here. So we have a triangle going like that. We have a boost and an attenuate, and we have our cycles per second. So this is attacking our low end. So we've got 20 Hertz, 30 Hertz, 60 and 100. And we have a boost control and an attenuate control. And the unique thing about this is we can actually boost and attenuate at the same time. There's nothing stopping us doing that. So you can get some really unique sounds out of this by being able to do boosts and cuts at the same spot. Now, they're not 100% accurate, so this is where you get the famous Pultec low-end trick, based on the fact that the boosts and attenuations don't happen at exactly the same frequency, and they don't always happen to be the exact same value as well. So you get some unique things where you get a little bump in a certain frequency and a dip somewhere else. So you can get some nice unique sounds out of that. Then we have another triangle, which is a little bit obscure here. So it's going to shoot across here and down here. So we are in this section here controlling these frequencies. We have a boost control and a bandwidth control. Okay, this attenuation knob is not a part of this. So we can't boost and attenuate technically the same like we can on the low end in that section there. So we have 3K all the way up to 16K that we can do a boost on, and we can set the bandwidth of that boost, how wide or narrow that boost is. Then in our next section, we sort of have a little bit of a rectangular shape like that there. So we have our attenuation selection here, which is 5K, 10K, or 20K. And here is our attenuation control. So this goes in hand with this, not with this one here. So in theory, we do have a similar sort of technique that we have done on the low end here. If we were to set this section here to say 10K, and then we also did this attenuation setting at 10K, but they are sort of independent. And then again, we've got our on-off switch here as well. So with the low end here, this is actually a shelf, and this is obviously this section here is more like a parametric, and that's why we have a bandwidth control to determine the width of that. And then the reason this attenuation setting is separate is because, again, this is a shelf. So we can have a peak here, but a shelf on this control here. And that's pretty much the extent of the plugin. It's quite simple and very easy to use. So let's just run through and dial up a few settings, just play with the sounds, give you an idea of what it sounds like and what you can get out of it. So let's just turn everything off and down to 0. And let's start with this one here. We've got a song. So I'm just going to put this on a full mix. Obviously, this plugin can go on individual tracks. It can go on a full mix, on the mix bus, on buses, anywhere you like. It's just an EQ. It is supposed to emulate some tube type effects, so it can be used to add a little bit of warmth. Some people have a tendency to even just include this on a bus or something like that without actually doing any EQ changes at all, and it will impart a little bit of character of just the signal passing through it. If I was going to do that, I would probably lean towards using the full versions of this plugin instead of the legacy, so that you get the true transformers and all of the characteristics of that hardware, so that you can get the real analog sort of warmth added to your song. So if we bypass it first, I'll leave that in there, but bypass it there, we'll just see what impact we have with it doing nothing at all. Now I can instantly hear a little bit of improvement in the low end. I can also hear the audio sort of open up a little bit. It's quite strange how much impact this plugin has without it actually doing anything, just being turned on. So now let's play with some of the settings. So there you go. There is the Pultec Pro Legacy plugin from UAD. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Obviously, it is a EQ that emulates old hardware, vintage, famous, whatever you want to call it. It has a great sound, but it is obviously very limited compared to today's digital EQs that give you lots of adjustments and very fine detail. This is very broad and, not very great in the finer details of things, but sometimes it can be just the thing you need to make your song sound smoother, sweeter, more bassy, whatever you need to get out of it without going into great, fine, minute adjustments. So let me know if this is something you've tried. Do you use it on your mixes? I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Hopefully the video was okay, being an older video. If you did like it, click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Hopefully it's been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.